Hello, everyone. This is Nora Armani, and we are back on one of our Meet the Filmmakers broadcasts live, which is broadcast on our YouTube channel and at the same time, simultaneously, in other words, on our Facebook page, as well as on my personal Facebook page. And this is a wonderful moment for me. I love doing these broadcasts because this is an occasion for me to get to know the filmmakers and really chat with them and introduce them to our audience, whoever has logged in and viewing. Sometimes people are not able to log in for the live interviews, but these interviews are recorded and they stay on our YouTube channel and are accessible through our playlist, which is the Meet the Filmmakers SRFF 2025 playlist. We are exactly a week from opening night. This is very, very exciting. This is the time when I get very little sleep. So if you see bags under my eyes, that's what it is. I barely get any sleep because this is the time when I'm chasing after filmmakers. Where is your film? Where is this? Where is that? And so on. And putting everything together, putting the festival's last touches together. But it is all coming together very nicely, I must say. Next Tuesday at 5:30, we have the red carpet at the National Arts Club, and we open the festival officially with a program that starts at 6 p.m. We have prepared a number of shorts for you. Then we go and introduce the audience, thank everyone. We have a special guest of honor on our opening night, and it's Dorothy Wiggins, and her handle on Instagram, go check it. It's Dorothy Loves New York. She is 99 years old, and she is an amazing inspiration for mindful living, for social activism, and for caring for what's going on around her. Not very many 99-year-olds are around, to say the least, and those who are not in the same state of mind and spirit that Dorothy is in. So we thought it would be a special treat for all of us and an honor to have her with us on opening night. Then on the 12th and 13th, we go uptown for our Rejoice Resist BIPOC Films section, which showcases films by BIPOC filmmakers about BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color issues. On the 14th, 15th, 16th, we come back downtown at Cinema Village, our iconic art house cinema in the village, and we present to you a whole selection of narrative features and feature-length documentaries, as well as two groupings of short films, which are grouped under Armenian Shorts on Sunday and Art and Empowering Women Shorts, which kicks off the whole event at Cinema Village on Friday at 1:30 p.m. On Sunday evening, when all is said and done, we cross the street and go a few blocks to the Tenry Cultural Institute and have our awards ceremony, during which our guest and our honoree is none other than Karen Karagulyan, who we saw him all over the place at the Oscars, and he plays Toros in Sean Baker's 5 Academy Award-winning film, Anora. So I wish everybody a fantastic festival. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my filmmakers that are with us today, who will introduce themselves, talk about their films, and then we have a wonderful chat. There we go. We have somebody's microphone is whistling, so I don't know whose it is. So when you're not talking, please kindly mute yourselves. So we're going to go like around the clock. I usually go with the person who's next to me, who happens to be Bonnie, and her film is Lady Parts. And tell us briefly about yourself and the film, and then we're going to come back in the second round and talk a little bit more about each film.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're so excited to be here. My name is Bonnie. I'm the writer and executive producer of Lady Parts, which is based off my own true story. We also have Nancy Boyd here, who is our fabulous director. Lady Parts is based off my own true story of having to move back home with my parents to get surgery on my vagina, or if you know what a vestibulectomy is, you're way ahead of most people. And it is a comedy, but also has, I would say, more of a dramedy feel.
Yeah, it's interesting that out of a personal story, you made a film. Not only that, but it's also a comedy. So, Lainey, I have Lainey next to me.
Hi there, Lainey Moseley. I made a feature documentary called Rare, A Rare Disease Revolution. It's not about my life, but it was sort of my journey with my rare disease daughter. Inspired me to make this film about the rare disease families that have to work so hard to find treatments and cures for their kids.
Yeah. And then we have heard a little bit about Nancy. So we'll come back to you. But let's hear from Miki.
Yes, thank you. So I, alongside my brother Yoni Benyamini, we made Widowbird, which is a road trip film. We shot it in New York, New Hampshire, and Maine, starring Nellie McKay as a political reporter who's grieving the loss of her mom, and she goes off north during campaign season to New Hampshire to interview a political candidate, and it kind of evolves into a film noir on the setting of New Hampshire and that whole wintertime atmosphere in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that is interesting. So now we have a very interesting collection of films, 2 narrative features and 1 documentary. And let us hear from the 2 other people who are involved with one of the 2 films. And let's go to Nancy.
Yeah, I love Lady Parts. Like, I just think that, again, you said that it is so rare that we have, a call to action film that is a comedy. And I think that is one of Lady Parts' biggest strengths, is that so many people walk in and they're like, I don't know, I'm a dude. Am I gonna like Lady Parts? Yes, you're gonna like Lady Parts because you probably know a woman, probably. The chances are high. And the thing is that it's a comedy about family and about supporting the women that you love in your life and the people with uteruses and vaginas in your life, and supporting them. But it's also, we're going to laugh along the way. So I think that if we can learn while we laugh, that is something so special and important, and it makes the lesson even stronger.
Yeah, we love comedies actually because by nature, our festival, what it is, it's like the socially relevant film festival. It's about social issues. It's about real people's lives. A lot of times we're dealing with very, very difficult subjects, whether it's about women issues. It's about, we have had a lot of films on human trafficking. We've had films about prisons. We have films about environment, climate change, disasters, and you name it. And if there is no humor or comedy involved in certain situations, wherever it's permitted, then it's like becomes a very, very gloomy situation. So comedy, through comedy, you can say what you have to say, and you can still enjoy and laugh and be entertained. So let's hear from Yoni.
Yes, hello. I also agree that comedy is so crucial to sometimes talk about hard subject matters. Widowbird is a very dark movie. It doesn't have a lot of comedy, but it's because the subject matter, Widowbird tried to kind of juxtapose a story of personal grief with national turmoil, and those 2 things sort of informing each other and seeing like how these are similar things. They have like similar psychological things. The film started in 2015, the script, when Trump was making his first run. And I felt like it was a time of national turmoil in the US and great uncertainty and changing of norms. Norms were changing. And at the same time, there's the story of the personal grief, things getting, when you lose somebody dear to you that is essential to your being, it's a gut punch. You have to reassess everything. So the film really deals with that period of reassessment and reconfiguration on both a personal front and a political or national front.
Yeah, this is very, very important, because if it's coming from the heart, if it's coming from true lived experiences, there's no way you can go wrong, especially if you are true to yourself and you push it all the way to the end and don't give up. And that's basically the story of this festival as well. I keep bringing it as the parallels, because when we first started the first year, when I was telling people I want to do a festival that deals with social issues, they were going, wow, that's a great idea. Of course, now many, many festivals include a lot of social issue oriented films, but what's special about ours is that we are only about social issues. If a film comes, which is a wonderful film, great story, great acting, beautiful production values, but there is no social issue that's being treated in it, unfortunately, it's not going to make it. So that's basically what we are here for. And I take pride in this personally, because the first year it was so difficult. So difficult. I felt like, oh my God, everybody is saying that's a great idea, but nobody's writing checks. So, but then the second year, immediately people started coming to us saying, wow, I was there on opening night. This was great. We want to be part of this. How can we help? How can we this, that, the other? So it's important to start. So any filmmakers out there who have ideas that they are debating about, shall we or shall we not, just go for it. Life is too short. Otherwise, you'll spend the rest of your life talking about it and regretting it, which is what I didn't want to do. And I don't regret it a bit. It's been such an enriching experience to meet wonderful filmmakers, learn so much from all these incredible films that I had no idea. There are so many topics in the world that we had no idea about. We didn't know about all these rare diseases. We didn't know. Well, Widowbird has interesting elements in it that kind of draws parallels between the actress and the politician and so on. And you're going to talk more about it. And I want to ask you where and how you got this idea. And of course, Bonnie's film is very personal. From a personal story, you made a film. It could have become a documentary, which really ended up being very lecture-y or very, but you made it into a comedy, which goes much, much longer. So maybe I ask my first question. I have people watching and I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, we even have a jury member watching. So be on your guard. But okay, I won't say where and who they are. Just let me pass the banner in case somebody is watching and they want to know where all these films are taking place, This is the Socially Relevant Film Festival. Here is the website. All the entire event schedule and the film schedule, as well as tickets and trailers, are all on the website now. So you can go there and find out more. And in a day or two, we will have the online section on the website, where you will see all the posters of the films. You click on them and you get all the information about each film. So it's been quite a journey, and I'm very, very happy to have you all here with me. Without filmmakers, what do you got? No film festival. So hurrah for all the filmmakers. Okay, my first question to the round is, how did you get this idea? And from idea to the film being on the screen and coming to us, what were the challenging parts or happy parts or whatever it is that you would like to share? We don't need to go in a row. Whoever wants to jump in first.
I can jump in if you'd like.
Go ahead.
So as we said, the film was based off my own true story. If you don't know what the terms vulvodynia is, vaginismus, that's okay, because we're not taught about it. And for myself, I was medically gaslit for years and years, even though I had what felt like a hot knife digging into me, stabbing pain anytime anything entered. And I was told, even at 19 years old, to just drink a glass of wine before sex. And, told it was all in my head. And in reality, it was an actual problem. And 1 in 4 people with vaginas will experience chronic vulvar pain at some point in their lives. But yet we still feel like it's a very stigmatized topic just because of where it's located on our body. And when I was going through that experience, it was completely isolating. I didn't know anybody else who was experiencing this. I was scared to talk about it. And so after I got the surgery in 2016, it really became a huge goal of mine to try to create media out there, because visibility is so important. So if someone could look on the screen and see somebody that is going through this, and even if it's not exactly the same thing, they could feel really seen, really heard, and feel like maybe there's a community out there for them. And as we've kind of gone through this Lady Parts journey, we have found that there's a huge community out there of people wanting to see this. And as we said before, I could sit here and I can tell you all these facts and all these figures, and you might feel something off that, but I think putting it into a narrative feature, putting it into a comedy, really humanizes the issue, so that you can see like what it's really like to live with some of these chronic conditions and what the hurdles people are having to go through. And I think also on top of it, seeing, because I look like this with the privileges I have, even as me, it was this hard to get a diagnosis and treatment. And so this problem really stems way, way deeper. So for me, it was like, I don't care what we're doing. We're making this film because this is a story that needs to be told and can help so many people. So as we've always said, if there's not a chair at the table, bring a folding chair. And I think, or you said it before, but it's really important. If you want to make something, make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is nothing like the lived experience. And you see, this is a topic that I had absolutely no idea about. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know about. But it's also funny, very funny, the way you treat it,
And I always say too, like, if going back to Shakespearean times, but you can't have tragedy without comedy and comedy without tragedy.
Absolutely.
And I think like the beauty of Lady Parts is we can watch tragedy and comedy unfold in the same moment, in the same scene, multiple times over. And I think that's what really truly makes it human.
Yeah. So let's tell people, whoever is watching, when it is screening. It's screening at Cinema Village on the 15th, I think, Saturday.
16th, the Sunday, at 12:10 p.m.
At 12? Is it at 12 exactly? I'm not sure.
I think 12:10 p.m.
12:10, but consider it 12 because in New York with all the traffic,
yes.
It's better to be there early than to be late.
And we're also handing out bracelets. And you
might win something.
Yeah, you might win a vibrator. So I would get there early. And
the Lady Parts team is very fun.
Yeah.
If you can't tell yet.
Okay, let's have someone else, and then we'll come back to you, Nancy, and we'll ask you questions about directing the film. Are you twins? The Benyamini brothers?
No, we have 2 years between us. Yeah. But we're very close, like in age. We're very close in mentality, and it's what makes us a strong collaborating team. Because like with brothers, you can be mad at each other, you can and you kind of shake it off, and at the same time we have like a kind of telepathy when we can understand where the other person's at, which I think helps when you're creating, when you're co-directing.
I wanted to ask you both, how is it working as a team, two people? Of course, many people work as a team. I mean, even if you're not necessarily both directing, cinema is a team art. It's not like painting or writing that you go off by yourself, isolate yourself somewhere and do whatever it is you do. If you're not a team, you can't get it off. But as a brother, two brother team directors, how is that?
It's a challenge, but a beautiful challenge. And I think with Widowbird specifically, because the story originates from a very personal place. Miki and I lost our mother in 2014, and in many ways, Widowbird is the project through which we parsed that very intense loss. It was all about bringing a select few people, confidants, the actors and our crew, a very small crew, into our story, into our pain, into our grief. We were taking a lot of road trips at that time after we lost our mother, because our mother, when we were growing up, she would curate these road trips for us, and she would take us exploring America. One time it was following music to Memphis and Nashville. Other time it was down the East Coast, just kind of like learning what America is about. And you know, as we were taking these road trips, just trying to deal with our grief, we realized that this would be an essential part of the movie, the story. And ultimately, we just brought in these people that cared a lot about us. We care a lot about them. And we brought them into our pain. And we took this road trip together. And that made it easier, because it was just an experience that we all, it was a journey we embarked on together. But yeah, it always necessitates being vulnerable and letting people see what you're undergoing.
Yeah, it's interesting when you travel with someone, even if that's your brother or a family member, they say either traveling or working with them are the ways in which you really get to know them. And after a journey together or working on a project together, it's you make it or you break it. You know?
You
No
always
doubt.
have.
And add the stress of set life to that. You know, set life is stressful even without the road trip aspect, let alone when you add like a wintertime road trip to New Hampshire and Maine.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I know. There are so many scenes that by just watching them, you need to grab your coat and hat and muffin. But it creates this drama. It creates the entire atmosphere, which makes it even more of a mystery situation.
Yeah.
And we want to follow the story of what happens. We won't give away too much, but there is a girl that disappears, and then there's chasing to see how and why, what are the circumstances, what has the relationship with the politician, and so on and so forth. So it's very timely, even if it was made, you got the idea in 2015. And then, of course, we know how the election went in 2016, and we are back like it was an action replay.
History rhymes.
And here we are, and your movie suddenly becomes extremely actuality, and very, very timely. So how about Lainey? You said it wasn't, it was your child. So tell us about, when did you get the idea that maybe you should make this into a movie?
Rare is a topic that most people don't really understand unless it happens to you, unless you have a child or a loved one with a rare disease. It's kind of this invisible place of disability that most people shy away from, don't really think about, and just go, phew, it hasn't happened to me or my child. But I had a daughter that was born with a rare disease. She was the first in the world. She wasn't diagnosed until she was 18. And the zeitgeist, 27 years ago was, well, good luck and go home, and there's nothing we can do for you. And I made this film because that has changed. And the families that I follow in the film get a diagnosis, but the landscape is different. The landscape now is, what's next? Well, there's real science out there, and the families that know that are driving the science in rare disease, and they're pushing for gene therapies and repurposed drug opportunities to save their kids against this indifferent healthcare system and a ticking clock. And so the families that I'm showcasing are really like heroes and warriors that are pushing science to do more for the rare disease community, especially for the rare disease kids, which is 50% of the rare diseases out there. So I felt that was an important point in time to chronicle, and that to raise awareness that this is a problem and that more attention needs to be paid to the rare disease community because they need help.
Yeah, it's very interesting because when we look at the pharmaceuticals industry, there's a lot of money and funding that goes into diseases, but then rare diseases, because there aren't that many people and there isn't that much funding, it's all revolves around the financial gain. And it's such a crooked system. You know?
It's a crooked system. And if it's your child, that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear that there's scientists and doctors doing something to research your child's disease. And it comes as a surprise to most families because sadly, your child is diagnosed with a pediatric cancer, there's a whole ecosystem and support system for, trying to save your child. But rare disease, it's 95% of them have no treatment or even possible pipeline to a treatment. And so the advocacy in rare disease is changing, and the families are pushing back and saying, this is unfair. This shouldn't have to fall on families to raise the money, become scientists, and to find cures for their kids, because they just are trying to be parents. And so I'm really hoping that this film galvanizes some attention that more needs to be done in the healthcare community to acknowledge and fund rare disease, especially for children, because kids shouldn't be sick.
Yeah, it's true, because also it's like, it's not a statistic, it's your child. When governments and funders and the pharmaceutical industry and science, they look at it, it gets like, okay, how many cases are there? Is it worth our efforts? What do you mean it's worth or not worth? It's a human life, and you never know where it's going to come back, how it's going to manifest itself. So if it's for the advancement of science, it deserves the attention regardless. But unfortunately, that's not how the world revolves.
The one statistic that most people don't understand really is that rare disease does inform common disease. And in my film, I talk about how one of the scientists, he cured himself with a drug. He had Castleman's disease, and his body went into a cytokine storm, and he found this drug by doing his own medical hackathon. He found a repurposed drug, at the local pharmacy, and he started taking it, and it calmed his cytokine storm. And that drug was used during the pandemic to save millions of lives for everyone who had COVID and had gotten to that, aggressive stage of COVID that had a cytokine storm and was going to die. They used the same drug thanks to the rare disease discovery. Yeah. So when you think about why it's important to invest in rare disease informs common disease and can save lives and could save your life.
Yeah. Very, very important. As a festival, we try to give the platform as much as possible within our means so that the spotlight is put on, or the accent or the focus is put on such issues that maybe even we didn't, or many people didn't know about. We can't propose a solution, because who are we to propose a solution? But at least we help draw attention to the fact. And then maybe out there, somebody would want to do something if they are in a position to do something about it. So let me ask Nancy, how did you get involved with Lady Parts? Did you know each other before, or were you responded to we're looking for a director casting call, or what?
Yeah, actually, Bonnie works with my best friend since kindergarten. I've known Megan Griesbeck, who's another one of our producers on this project, since kindergarten. They work at Light Iron, which is a post house in New York. And Bonnie was talking about her film and was telling Megan about it and saying that they were looking for a director for it. And Megan heard about the story from Bonnie. And she said, well, my friend Nancy is a director, and she's studying at USC right now, and she has vaginismus. She experiences pelvic pain as well. I think that you guys would really get along. And so that's how we connected. And it was just kind of kismet. Like everyone who was supposed to be on this film ended up being on this film. Like there are so many people who have not had their doctors listen to them, or had thought that they were crazy, or their bodies were broken and would never be, you know, how they wanted them to be, never be able to use them the way that they wanted to use them. And we're told that they just had to deal with it. And so many of those people came onto the film because they wanted people to not feel so alone.
It's a beautiful way of dealing with it, because a lot of times we feel very lonely, alone in our pain and our experiences and everything that happens to us. If I can share a personal story myself, part of the reason why this festival exists is because of a violent attack that happened to a very dear person to me, almost my sister, but actually my cousin and my uncle, who were victims of a hate crime. And when the 10th anniversary of their murder approached, I wanted to do something meaningful to commemorate them. And I actually, because of the violence involved, I wanted to do a film festival that dealt with non-violence, because we have so much violence around us all the time, And I'm not talking about just in the street and wherever, in wars and whatever is happening in the entire world right now, but on screen violence. But if I don't want to see a violent movie, I don't go to the movies, except if I'm standing at the bus stop and suddenly there's this huge poster staring at me with guns on it and daggers and blood flowing and so on. And I'm like, my space is invaded with this visual violence. So I felt, okay, it's about time somebody did something about it, plus my own personal experience, that the pain that I was going through. And I felt, okay. And since I have a sociology background, besides being an actress and all that, I figured, okay, the best way is to deal with all sorts of social issues, because violence is very much related to a lot of social issues, and social issues create violence and vice versa. So it opened up for all that. So when you're dealing with pain, or when you're dealing with a personal experience, we have a wonderful tool at our hands, and it's called creativity, art. And through that, we can tell the story, and it becomes not only a healing experience for us, but it creates the community and brings together all these people. And suddenly, I mean, every once in a while, the actress in me knocks on the door and says, hey, don't forget me, please, please. But I try to feed the baby a little bit so she doesn't scream too much. But at the end of the day, I look back and see that in the 12 years of this festival's existence, we have been able to screen 750 films from 40 countries. And that's no small feat, because we are not a hugely subsidized or granted big film festival. But there are people who believe in what we do, and we are so thankful for them. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, our friends, our partners, without whose existence, without whose support and unwavering support, I should say, the festival would not have come this far. Thank God we've been able to exist for the 12 years straight. And the only 2 years that we didn't do in person were 2020 and 2021 because of COVID. But that had its positive aspect as well, because it made us discover all the online tools. And now we are a hybrid festival where we offer the films online, as well as are able to do these talks. Before, we were only interviewing the filmmakers who came to New York. Now we are able to interview every filmmaker who is in the festival. So thank you all again for being here. So maybe somebody or whoever wants to go can tell us about their film and how they got involved, or if you already did that, then, or you want to go elaborate further, it's your microphone. It's Meet the Filmmakers. So there you are. You can say whatever you like. Anyone?
I could just bounce off what Nancy said, because she put it perfectly. But there was a lot of people involved in this project that made it like what it was. So I quickly just want to shout out some members of our team. As Nancy already said, we have Megan, our producer, Edith, our editor, Ola, our DP, Holly, our composer, Zach, our sound mixer. We have our lovely Valentina Tomorrow, who is an amazing actress who was so fun and amazing to be on set with. Amy Linden, Peter, all of the actors, the entire cast and crew, and I guess we call it now Vagina Village, but we had a ton of, like you said, friends, family, partners, people that really came up and supported this, and it really was a community and a village that it took to make this film. In terms of funding it, I self-financed the entire thing. We were a micro budget, so a lot of us wore multiple hats, and everybody just kind of gave it everything they had, and I think it really shines through when you watch the film. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who came aboard and helped make this film and has championed it ever since.
Yeah, budgets are always a problem, because if you wait for that billionaire to come your way and write you the check, first of all, they're not going to advocate for this type of film.
No.
Yeah.
In the past, when I tried to pitch it to people said, oh, well, it's too niche, or, I don't know if there's an audience for this. And we've quite proved that wrong time and time again.
Yeah.
There is an audience for this. People want films by and for and made by women. They want films about vulvovaginal and pelvic pain conditions because it affects, like I said, 1 in 4 people. So
we've won the audience award 3 times at film festivals, so clearly there is an audience for films made by women.
Clearly, there's an audience.
There's an audience for every film. There is an audience for every subject. And we shouldn't go with preconceived ideas of who's going to watch this film. Make it, and you'll see who's going to watch it.
And that's the thing. Like, if I had waited around for somebody to give me permission to make this film, it would never get made. At some point, you just have to say, you know what, let's use all the resources we can. Let's gather an amazing team and an amazing community, and let's do it. And through this experience, we've just found so many amazing allies, so many amazing communities. And I think it really goes to show that, a good story will speak for itself.
Yeah.
And relate to everyone. Like, you can be a cis man coming into Lady Parts and still find something to relate to and leave with a new education, a new curiosity, or, at the end of the day, we all feel human emotions. So if you come in and you feel something, then that's incredible.
Yeah. And it's very important to share stories, because that's what we are. We are storytellers. And the closest to your heart is the best one. So go for that, and we should encourage. That's why another thing that this festival does is we don't go around the big festivals. I do go to the big festivals, but not to fish out for big films. I go to Cannes. I go to, I used to go to Rotterdam quite a lot. A lot of the big film festivals. But it's not because I want to see which film is doing great and let's invite them to New York. But just to learn what is happening, what's going on in the world. And we favor filmmakers who come to us through our submission platform and give them that chance, because we are aware that these filmmakers spent their last pennies. They just went in and, said, that's it. It's hit or miss. I'm doing this because if I don't, it never gets done. And by the same token, we show it because if we don't, it probably won't get shown elsewhere. So it's very, very important to create this community who believes in this type of film, in films that are made with shoestring budgets, but with a lot of heart, with a lot of dedication, with, like you say, it takes a village. So again, it's not a one-woman show. I have a team as well. And putting together a film festival takes a lot of effort and energy. And without a team, without people who think alike, who want this thing to exist, there is no way that what we do can be done. So who wants to share some of their experiences?
I'll jump in. I'll echo something that Bonnie said. I just decided during COVID that I was a filmmaker. And so, my background was as a news producer. I worked for NBC and CBS News in New York for years. So I had a background in production, but COVID just made me sort of question what I was passionate about, what really mattered to me. And it was my daughter who has a rare disease. So, I think, echoing Bonnie, anyone who has the passion to make a film needs to just jump in. And it doesn't have to necessarily make sense. You sort of leap before you look. And if you just know you have to tell the story, you should do it. Because I didn't have the finances. I did end up raising money, but it was a shoestring budget, very shoestring producer. I was producer and director, and I had an editor and one cameraman. And, it's all I needed, because I just believed that no one else was going to tell the story. And so I just went for it. And, I felt a little bit like an imposter, saying that I'm a filmmaker now, but, everyone can start somewhere.
Absolutely. And you don't know where it's going to take you. And the best example is, look at that Anora, when they started. I've seen early films by Sean Baker, and it's like handheld camera, 3 people on the crew, and, but he knows how to tell a story. If you have a story, you know how to tell a story, that's all you need. The rest will fall into place. And I'm very happy that it was appreciated. And look at all the other amazing films it was running against, like Conclave, it's like, wow. And you carry all the awards, which means it has heart. It means it has somebody believes in what they are doing. And that's basically the name of the game. So hopefully this little platform we are offering you would mean something and would take you to the next step. That's the whole idea. We do have industry partners, and I wish to put a shout out here to our industry partner, Indie Pix, who has been with us since our 2nd year. Actually, we met them as soon as we had wrapped the 1st year. Otherwise, they would have been there from day one. And they've always been supportive. They've always come and looked at the films and offered distribution to a number of the films that are on our slate, because they kind of present the same type of films that we do. And also Cinema Libre from Los Angeles, from Burbank. And they have been with us from day one. And they offer us awards, like for the filmmaker that wins, they give advice how to package the film, what are the deliverables, what are all these things, because from putting the film together to actually getting it out there for distribution, there are some steps, and all of us are ignorant about it. Maybe you're not, but that's another story. We have time, so whoever wants to Yoni and Miki. Is it Miki or Mikey? No, it's Miki.
It's Miki. So yeah, I'll give an anecdote about casting Nelly and about getting a lot of the locations in the film. So we were both fans of her music, and we had the vision of getting her as the leading lady in our film. And we went to one of her shows, and we waited after the show to talk to her, introduced ourselves, and kind of floated the idea of a movie, just floated it, just for a handshake. Sometimes you gotta just find someone, and the same with like a lot of the locations. We went out to New Hampshire, we knew we wanted to shoot it in a poker room, and like we got to meet the owner of the establishment and just like introduce ourselves, and just a handshake can go a long way, just like look someone in the eye. And I think there's a lot of beauty that comes with that way of like connecting with like people around film, like just meet them and see and float it. Maybe they'll be into it. maybe in New York, a lot of people are jaded about it, but like you go a little bit outside of New York, and a handshake can go a very long way.
I am not at all jaded about it because it reminds me of a situation where I have been in. I have produced a feature film on which I was writer, co-script writer, and the main actress. Not the one that's screening Labyrinth. That's not the one I'm talking about. This is another film which I did after Labyrinth, and I was the main character in it, the main actor, the lead actress, co-script writer, producer, and co-director. And it was shot in Paris, London, Los Angeles, and finally in Armenia. And it was like unbelievable how we pulled that together with all these locations around the world without a penny. But it was with all those handshakes, with all the wonderful people that came my way, and the belief when you go and talk to someone and you have sparkles in your eyes and you have all the energy and enthusiasm and people want to be part of it. People have lives that are a little banal and everyday and so on. So we got train in France for free. We got cafe in France for free. We got street shots, a whole train station, which costs hundreds and hundreds of euros, to thousands, if not to talk about thousands. And then you become ingenious. You do traveling shots with the shopping cart. You do, it's like, wow. And when there is a will, there is a way. I kind of miss those days because since I started doing the film festival, I don't have time to go out there and do my own film. I act whenever I'm offered, and I'm happy to say that in the last 2 years, I've done 3 feature films with starring and co-starring roles that you'll be hearing soon from, not the Labyrinth one, which is already very, very old, but new films. With a Finnish director, which is a Finnish-Spanish co-production. And by the way, the Finnish director was in the film festival 2 years ago. That's how we met. So, and when I saw his film, and I went like Rax Rinikangas is the name, I felt it's like more Bergman style, slow, black and white, and I felt, I want to be in this film, but I can't be in that film because it's finished. And I go, wow, and so on. And I'm like dreaming about it. And next thing I know, I was in his next 2 films. And the second one is having a preview. It's called Jukebox, and it's based on a Peter Handke novel. And it's coming out soon. It's having a preview screening in Helsinki on March 8th. Unfortunately, I can't go because we are smack in the middle of all the festival stuff. So dreams do come true. So just pursue your dream. Leave everything aside and pursue your dream. I'm also telling this to myself. So as soon as the festival is over, Nora, the actress hat, gets on.
I was going to say, we have a funny story regarding locations as well. In terms of creativity and meeting people and all the connections, we got every location but one for free. We shot, there was basically a sex positive BDSM dungeon that we shot in, where they had a doctor playroom. And we said, well, you know what? We can't get an actual gynecology office, but they do have a playroom with stirrups, an exam room table, and everything we need. And they were so lovely. And we also shot a lot of our office scenes at a plumbing supply warehouse and office. So we just got really creative in terms of locations, and we were scrappy, but we made it work. And I think that was kind of the name of the game. And we pulled in like every favor possible, probably, to make this film.
Yeah. You got to be creative. It's otherwise we won't do it. It's
when
not
you don't have
by
when you don't
itself.
have millions of dollars in budget, then it becomes an art of the possible, and kind of you have to manufacture ways for you to get what you need, and you also ask a lot of your collaborators and your crew. I feel like all of us here in this conversation, we had very small crews and intimate crews, and everybody biting off more than they can chew. And it's a messy game, when you can't control every inch of the frame. You have to roll with the punches. But that's what makes the experience so memorable. And oftentimes you can see it later when you watch the film that it was handmade, as opposed to kind of an assembly
Yes.
line.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was thinking the other day, it's like the boutique experience. Like, we are a boutique film festival, very hand curated, very handmade, everything. And the films that come to us are made the same way. So it's a wonderful combination, which brings me to my next and final question. What is your next project? What are you working on, guys? I mean, you don't have to divulge all the secrets if you don't want to, but if you don't want to, tell us what you had for breakfast or whatever.
Our production company, me and Miki have a production company called B Bros, and we are currently producing, or in the pre-production stages of a feature film by a director called Emma Carlson. Her script is called Undersong, and it's about a tour guide in the Loch Ness. He takes people in search of the monster, and it's currently in pre-production. She is an NYU graduate and a wonderful screenwriter, and it's a beautiful script, and we're very much looking forward to taking that to the next stage of pre-production. But we're involved in that.
I
That's
love
shot
Nessie.
on
That's
location, I
amazing.
guess. Yeah. Is it shot? I'm assuming it will be shot on location, because you cannot reconstruct Loch Ness somewhere else.
Yes, Scotland, but also interiors in Ireland, where we're looking. Yeah, this is where it's going to be hopefully shot at. Yeah, but yeah, you have to go to the Loch Ness. You can't.
Of course. And what if Nessie just comes out for you?
That's the magic, right? You're gonna
All the
be there
better.
until she does. You're gonna
I
be there
believe.
until she pops her head.
Can you imagine? And then you can say, with a special appearance by Nessie.
Yes. Well, the film is really about that, kind of like holding on to that, like the magic in your heart. You believe, and that's what matters. And all the world can gaslight you or think you're crazy, but you have your inner truth. But it's also a film about friendship, and there's like an apprentice mentor protege type of dynamic in the script as well.
That's beautiful. We can't wait to see it.
Emma
Anyone?
Carlson, Undersong.
I'm sorry?
It's written by Emma Carlson, and it's called Undersong.
Undersong. Nice. And anyone else? Ooh.
You go first. You go first. I'll go after.
Oh, go. Should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just starting to research for another documentary I'm wanting to work on. It's going to be called Tobacco 2.0, and it's really focusing on the cannabis industry and distribution as pertains to young kids, because we all fought and thought it was a good idea for the legalization of marijuana, but it's having an adverse effect on children, because the strength of cannabis is so potent now, and there's just all kinds of statistics about the psychosis, and the danger to kids, but no one's really talking about it. So it's like cigarettes in the 1950s, like, oh well, everything's fine, but it really isn't fine, and I think it needs a deep dive. It's just the process of raising money for a documentary, it's hard, and so that's I'll put it out there into the universe and manifest if anyone thinks that's an important film to make and wants to help me make it.
Yeah, that is the tough part, and that's the part where it wears you off, and then when you finally get things together, you feel like, I don't feel like doing this movie anymore. go to the Bahamas, go somewhere nice and spend some time, refresh yourself, go take a ballet class or whatever, and then come back and everything will be great. So, and I guess we did the tour. So who wants to jump in and share something? Say, yeah, Bonnie?
I was going to say, I know me and Nancy are both working on some new projects too. For me personally, I'm working on a new feature film. I kind of named it The Woman in the Wallpaper, but working title. As you'll see with Lady Parts, this one's Velveteen Rabbit. This one I really want to focus on the yellow wallpaper. If anyone's read it, it's about women's hysteria. And it wasn't until 1980s that women's hysteria was removed from the DSM, which is insane. And in the 1980s is when we first got fluconazole, and there wasn't a new yeast infection medicine made for over 50 years. And something so simple as a yeast infection that everybody with a vagina will experience once in their lifetime is still something that I went through reoccurrent with and could not find an answer to. And so I really want to make a movie kind of highlighting how even though women's hysteria is not in the DSM anymore, it's still really prevalent in our medical system and all the systematic things that we go through throughout life.
Yeah, and it's very curious that there's a short film that we have. It's called Shame, which is about a rape case. Something happens to this girl. And then, of course, the reaction of the people around her is like, yeah, but what were you wearing?
What were you wearing?
Like, constantly, it's the victim who is to blame.
Exactly. And I
Something
think
they did or said or behaved that, well, you shouldn't have gone out that late at night. And I'm like, no, that's not how it goes, you know?
No.
So, yeah. So
yeah,
it's
and I think, and Lainey brought up a really good point when it came to Rare about all these people, like the patients are having to become their own advocates, their own doctors. I mean, it's the same with vulvovaginal pelvic pain conditions. A lot of us know more than the doctors. We're like researching, we're coming to the appointments, we're having to advocate for ourselves constantly. And so this is just another facet of it. And I think it's like super important that you made Rare. I think it's super important that all these stories are being made and told and hopefully spreading some awareness. So very, very excited.
So Miki and Yoni, it's I'm noticing that you're picking stories that have to do with travel. You must be really fans to going places and exploring new landscapes.
Definitely fans of the road trip. Also, as a filmmaking trope, a lot of great films take you on a journey. I'm thinking Stranger Than Paradise, stuff like that. Also, it is conducive. We had like a 6-person crew on this movie. So it's small, you drive together, and there's something about the movement, you go, there's a destination, and on the way, it's just very conducive to, to have like a nice, juicy 3-act structure and stuff like that. But it's been a while since I went traveling myself, and I'm due, I think, for a good road trip soon.
Also, when you leave your own everyday environment and you get away, you go somewhere, new ideas come to you because you have to create room for new ideas to come. When you are sitting in the same place all day and staring at the same screen and so on, it's like your mind is crammed, your atmosphere is crammed, and you need breathing space for things to happen. So we're very happy that you're
No, right, excuse me. Yes, I'm sorry. I have to leave the conversation, but I very much enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of your films.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. And already we're out of time, so I'm just going to wrap. If anybody is dying to say last minute something, please do. If not, I will wrap it up. And thank you all for being with us. Whoever is watching, I have one comment here, which I will bring. Huge Lady Parts fan, Ryan Fernandez says, I saw the movie this past fall and it was incredible. Just for you. So I put it on the screen so people can see it. Thank you all very much. I'm looking forward to meeting you all in person. That's part of the fun of this festival. We have a lot of happy hours, meet the filmmakers in live. Also, we have a new thing we introduced this year. We have an open mic when filmmakers can come up and share stories, challenges, or do whatever they like, maybe do a tap dance number or sing, whatever. And then we'll have some good moments together. So thank you, everybody. And again, for last moment, here is the Film Festival's website. All this information that we discussed and talked about, the films are all there, the ticketing is all there, the schedule is all there, and hope to see you all soon. Thank you.